Hey, it's Nick here from Grayscale Gorilla. I am the Gorilla, and here is another quick start video for the camera calibration tag in version 14 of Cinema 4D. I figured we'll get in and just show you how to set up the basics of the camera calibration tag so you guys can start to play around with it. So let's head on in. Let's do this. First thing you need is a camera. So add a camera to your scene, and then you need the camera calibration tag, which is under tags, Cinema 4D tags, camera calibrator. Now, what you want to bring in is your image that you want to calibrate. So you go to this image tab and you bring in the image. And in this case, I took a photo of where Chris and I are working here in the corner of the office. You see my little ball chair there, and Chris is hard at work. We got all this fun stuff around, and I got to clean my desk. But we have all the data here. We should have all the data here to do a quick camera calibration, which will allow us to place objects kind of more accurately in the scene, and then with a little bit more work, we'll be able to light it with this and make it look like it's sitting inside of this scene. So I don't think we can get that far in a quick start, but let me show you how to actually calibrate this image so you can start to play around with it. Go in your Calibrate tab here, and what you want to do is start adding lines. Now, what you need is to solve at least two of the axes in the scene. So in this case, we have some straight lines that we can trust are parallel to each other. So let's take, for instance, this pillar here and these pipes and maybe this window. We can all guess they're aiming straight up and down. We also have some things like the edge of this desk and these windows and this bookshelf that are guessing kind of that they're all aiming in the same parallel direction. So that's what we're looking for. Let's start with the y-axis and grab the edge. And we're just going to line this line so it's right on the edge of this pillar here. And then we have to tell Cinema what direction it's facing. So we hold shift and we click it until it's facing the correct direction. And in this case, green is Y and Z is blue and X is red. So we want the green aiming up. And then we need to add another line because it needs at least two lines to calibrate one axis. So I'm going to use this window as our second one. Line it up as carefully as possible, and I'm going to tell it, okay, green, and now it knows that these are parallel to each other, and it's doing some math and calculating what this scene looks like, what kind of lens is being used, and you can see it actually says Y vanishing point solved. So let's add another line and do the same thing to another axis. In this case, it's going to be our X, or it could be a Z, depending on if you want to change that or not. It looks like we already have a line here. So let's push this, and let's call this X. So I'm just going to hold shift and make it red. I'm going to do this again right here, and maybe these window panes. And hopefully these are hanging relatively straight, and we can line this up, and we can say solve for X. So now we have two X lines and two Y lines, and really that should be enough. And if we look down, it is. It says solve, solved, and then Z is indirectly solved based on this. And the only thing we need is our camera position. For that, what you need to do is come up in here, add a pin, and drag it to the edge of one of these objects. In this case, let's drag it to just the edge of the desk here. That sounds like a good place to have the 0, 0 point of your scene. Once we have this, everything's solved and ready to go. The thing you want to check before you hit create camera mapping tag and all this is that your focal length is relatively close. And in this case, we almost nailed it. The iPhone camera that I took this with is actually about 35 millimeters. So you can see 34 is really close, and we're ready to go. So we get create camera mapping tag and create background object. And if we look through the camera that we're calibrating and we add, let's say, a cube, you can see what has happened. Now the cube comes in the scene angled in the correct ratio here. It also has the same perspective. It has the correct perspective, angle, and orientation when it comes into the scene. So this allows us to now maybe model out parts of the desk, maybe model out some of the floor. And in this case, if it's just a still, we can bring in something like our figure, let's say, and scale him down and know that when we move him up and over in the scene that he is actually standing on the desk, and we could do some fun stuff like have him look like he's standing on my desk and start to add 3D elements to the scene. This is what it's made for. So we're going to have a lot of tutorials on filling this out and showing you how to light and do some of the modeling and stuff, but I thought a little quick start video just to get up and running with the camera calibration might get you guys started. So hopefully that's helpful. Go ahead and play around with that stuff. It's really fun to play around with, and like I said, I think we're going to have a lot of tutorials based on this stuff, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, I'll see you in another video really soon. Bye, everybody.